Hello everyone and welcome back to the Osteo Physio YouTube channel. So for today's video we are continuing with our Why Am I Getting Pain series, and we're going to be looking at the front part of the elbow, so just here. As with all of these videos, we are going to be covering the main musculoskeletal conditions that can refer pain into this area. So number one, the first thing that's really common that we see in clinic is any previous damage into the biceps muscle. So we've got two main attachments of your biceps, up with the long head up into the shoulder area and then down towards the elbow, so down attaching into this area. What's really common is someone's had an injury where they've picked something up quickly, or potentially a gym injury where they've lifted something that's way too heavy. It can cause damage into the muscle belly, so damage into the fibers of the muscle, which of course can pull and refer down into the bicep, so down into the attachment into this elbow area. Most commonly with the onset, most people know about it. You normally get bruising and soreness and specific pain, particularly into the bicep belly. You find picking stuff up or putting food into your mouth where you're bending at the elbow normally triggers the pain. What we would want to make sure is there's no excessive damage into the belly of the muscles, so we want to make sure actually the power's still there into the bicep. We would palpate around to make sure there's no other complications, and we would also test the attachment up into the shoulder to make sure there's no damage in the long head, but also making sure that there's no referral from the shoulder, like we spoke about in our last video, that could be triggering pain down into here. A second common cause of pain into this groove here, so into this area, could be wear and tear of the elbow joint. So the joint between the humerus and the ulnus as we come down here. Commonly it presents with stiffness and soreness and limitation, where the elbow is a hinge joint where it bends and extends. What you normally find is that is quite limited. It might be in a fixed position depending on the common causes. So common causes that can lead someone to get wear and tear in the elbow joint might be a previous trauma, so they've had quite a nasty accident in the elbow, it's recovered but obviously it's limited how they move after. That could potentially lead to wear and tear later. Secondly, anybody who's had a job that's quite repetitive, so repetitive lifting or potentially desk-based stuff where you're fixed in a position, this can also cause wear and tear to potentially form into the elbow. But what we want to look at is we would test your range, test your power around the area, see how limiting or how much movement you can do into the elbow, and then treatment wise would obviously be imaging if we feel like there's any complications, for example any bony spurs or excessive damage, but mainly aiming to regain movement and support into the elbow. Another common condition that can refer up into here is any trigger points or fatigue or myalgia, so muscle pain on the main muscles around this forearm area. So we're not thinking about medial or lateral epicondylitis, so tennis or golfer's elbow. We're thinking about real kind of tenderness and tightness through here. So rather than excessive localized damage into the tendon, there's just a lot of pain and soreness and tightening that forms. So people might say day to day that they feel like there's a lot of pressure in the forearm. They feel like when they're using the forearm it feels really fatigued, really weak. And so what can happen is you get, yes, localized pain down into the muscle belly, but can also give pain referral when using the muscle around this bicep area. So what we would look at and what we would assess for is very intricate palpation. So we want to look at all of the attachments around here, again that bicep coming down, and just see if that triggers any of the soreness, potentially muscle testing around there. And then our aim of treatment is to relieve the pressure down into the forearm, to get someone stretching and relaxing, which I know we've covered in other videos regarding repetitive strain injuries or that build up of tension, and relax the muscles around this area. Leading on from that idea of fatigue and pain around here, we can also have key tendinopathies, so key damage or injury to the tendons around this area. So really common is that biceps tendinopathy as it comes down towards the elbow. What we normally find is it's normally stretching out. So if we're stretching the tendon, stretching the muscle belly, it normally causes a lot of localized soreness into this area. They might have weakness through there. We normally find just a pattern that's quite typical is first first thing in the morning when they wake up, it's particularly sore because when we're sleeping, our body's going through that recovery. So first thing, it's really sore, possibly a little bit of stiffness around this area, which can just give quite acute, quite sore pain local to this elbow. What we'd want to look at again is relieving all of the surrounding joints. We want to take the pressure off the tendon. We want to relax the muscle belly if that's got tight as well, and then we want to encourage blood to the area to help with that recovery. So we would want to do eccentric loading. We'd want to do very gentle stretching, so realigning the fibers of the muscle, allowing it to relax around here. Other common tendons, so we did touch on that a little bit earlier when we were talking about repetitive strain, might be lateral or medial tendons. So we're thinking on the medial side, the flexors and the pronators, up into the elbow, and then the lateral aspect, the extensors and the supinators, so different tendons that work around the elbow. If that becomes sore, and there's repetitive patterns or there's micro damage into the tendons, it can not only give localized pain around the sides of the elbow, but of course can refer into the middle part of the elbow as well. Again, we would test that through resistance. We would stretch down through the muscles to see if that triggers any pain, any weakness on grip strength that might be impacted by this. And again, from a local point of view, we'd want to help promote that recovery, so relaxing around the area. From an osteopathic point of view, we would want to look at how all of the joints of the upper body are working, because if someone's got a history of injury or limited movement into the shoulder, they're going to be putting a lot more pressure down into the elbow, down into the wrist. And then we also want to consider any other activities, hobbies or work postures that might be putting more pressure through. For example, racket sports, any lifting jobs or working in an office might cause tension to build up over time. So we would give advice on this too.